5 people are hospitalized after a shooting on a Port Aransas beach. Corpus Christi ISD is mourning the loss of the superintendent's son. And the executive director of the Texas Zoo is leaving the organization. This is South Texas Midday. I'm Rob Boskamp. Thank you for joining me on this Monday, March 16th. A San Antonio man was arrested on Sunday and 5 people were sent to the hospital after a shooting at a Port Aransas beach. Port Aransas Police Chief James Stokes said an altercation happened late Saturday between 2 groups of people near beach marker 20. During the fight, a firearm was pulled out and multiple shots were fired. Lieutenant Mike Hannon told 3 News that Port Aransas detectives, with help from the Texas Rangers, arrested 17-year-old Ernesto Castillo of San Antonio, who now faces 5 counts of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. Officials said on Sunday that 3 people were in police custody and are being questioned in connection with the shooting. The investigation is ongoing. Corpus Christi Independent School District Superintendent Dr. Roland Hernandez and family are mourning the loss of his son. Leighton Hernandez died after a 2-car accident this past Friday. He was 28. He was in his 5th year as a teacher and coach at Veterans Memorial High School. A King High School graduate, Hernandez earned his bachelor's degree in 2020 from Texas State University, where he was a member of the Lambda Chi Alpha fraternity. Visitation will be this Friday from 5 to 9 p.m. at Maxwell P. Dunn Funeral Service on Yorktown Boulevard. A celebration of life will be held at 2:30 p.m. Saturday at Church Unlimited's Rodfield campus. CCISD's crisis counseling team are available to students and staff. Corpus Christi City Council meets Tuesday at City Hall. Updates are expected on Corpus Christi's water supply and the mounting concerns about that regional supply. Agenda items 16 through 19 will focus on motions connected to several water initiatives like the Evangeline Aquifer Project in San Patricio County. City Council members will also vote to authorize city staff to collaborate with CPS Energy to develop options for seawater desalination at the Barney Davis Power Plant in District 4's Flower Bluff. Members will also vote on a contract with Spheros for far-field modeling throughout the Corpus Christi Bay system, which is connected with the Inner Harbor Desalination Plant. Full meeting agenda and public comment session signups are available on the City of Corpus Christi's website. And related to water projects, Corpus Christi Mayor Paulette Guajardo called for a special City Council meeting for Thursday, April 9th, to discuss accelerating approval of the Inner Harbor Seawater Desalination Project. Guajardo said earlier dates were evaluated, but city staff needed more time to prepare the contract for council consideration. The emergency meeting was announced last week after city leaders received criticism from Texas Governor Greg Abbott over regional water concerns. The Texas Zoo in Victoria has announced that Executive Director Bill Baker has left the organization. 25 News Now reports that interim leadership will be announced soon, and board members are working closely with zoo staff to ensure normal operations continue. Zoo hours will remain unchanged. UT Health San Antonio plans to take the lead in diabetes research and treatment starting today when it launches its Center for Excellence in Diabetes.
And the purpose of the center is to bring together multidisciplinary clinicians and researchers to drive cutting-edge clinical trials, innovative treatment strategies, and meaningful translation into clinical practice.
Dr. Carolina Solis Herrera will direct the center, and her ultimate goal is for San Antonio researchers in collaboration with scientists from around the nation and the world to develop a cure for the disease that affects 1 in 6 people in San Antonio. The Texas Supreme Court has ruled that State Attorney General Ken Paxton can obtain records from an LGBTQ advocacy group. The Texas Newsroom's Lucio Vasquez reports it's part of an investigation tied to Texas's ban on gender-affirming medical care for minors.
The state investigation into the advocacy group PFLAG began years ago. It stems from a separate lawsuit challenging the state's 2023 ban on certain gender-affirming treatments for minors. In that case, PFLAG's executive director said families were discussing contingency plans to maintain care in Texas. State investigators say those comments suggested the group might have information about doctors continuing to provide treatments banned under state law. The state sought records, and PFLAG sued to block the request, but the Texas Supreme Court ruled Paxton can demand those documents if he has reason to believe they're relevant. The court says PFLAG can redact identifying information about families before turning over the records. I'm Lucio Vasquez in Houston.
Recently, the University of North Texas abruptly closed an exhibition featuring art that's critical of Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE. It's just one example of how politics is creating a climate of fear and censorship. Denton Record Chronicles' Lucinda Breeding Gonzalez and KERA's Marquita Fornoff took a look at incidents on campuses across the country.
Victor Quinones is the artist whose show was shut down by UNT officials. He says it's a strange time to be making art. Quinones, who also goes by Marca 27, says it's the first time in more than 30 years that his art has been censored.
But I believe that, the students, the faculty, and the majority of the public do want to see artists have freedom to speak their mind.
But it's not an isolated incident. At Pepperdine University in California, 2 artworks that referenced immigration were removed or altered at the direction of school officials. At University of North Carolina, the school covered up a pro-Palestinian mural. Kent State in Ohio asked an art student to remove work that depicted violence against political leaders, and the student agreed. And art isn't the only target. Last year, 32 states introduced bills that would limit speech on college and university campuses. 15 of those states passed legislation, according to PEN America. Texas passed 2 new laws, and separately, the University of Texas system decided to limit classroom discussion of, quote, unnecessary controversial subjects. Chloe Kempf, a lawyer with the ACLU of Texas, says incidents like these are becoming more common.
Because when people don't know what they need to do to avoid getting in trouble, they're going to just automatically do less and censor themselves.
The University of North Texas did not respond to multiple requests for comment. But text messages between the university's president and provost were recently released through public records requests. They showed the 2 leaders were concerned about pressure from Austin. Andy Hopper is a Republican state representative for Denton County. In a statement, he said he agreed with the decision to remove the exhibit. He said state-funded schools don't have to platform, quote, those who despise our republic and the defense of our laws. But William Harris says UNT is sending a message by closing the show. Harris works for the Foundation for Individual Rights and Expression.
And that message is that political pressure wins out, and artists, faculty, and students should self-censor.
Even people who disagree with the anti-ICE messaging should be concerned about limits on speech, he says.
So if you might flinch at the anti-ICE message here, you should remember that across the country right now, FIRE is defending cases where pro-ICE expression is being censored.
Harris says censorship is happening across the country, but
we are seeing an alarming trend of Texas schools failing to really uphold their burdens under the First Amendment.
On campus, some UNT students fear their work could be censored too, says Alicia Eggert. She's an associate professor of art at UNT.
What art does is it allows people to speak and to have a voice. And it's especially important for minorities, and marginalized voices are able to be heard, and their experiences can be shared with the larger community.
Quinones lives in Brooklyn now, but grew up in Dallas, so it was especially meaningful to have a show at UNT. He hopes the work can find another venue in North Texas. I'm Lucinda Breeding Gonzalez in Denton, with reporting from Marquita Fornoff in Dallas.
Congratulations to Cuero High School senior Julian Henson. He took home the UIL State Championship Award in filmmaking for his film, La Lechuza. In sports, the Corpus Christi IceRays continue their search for a playoff position. Over the weekend, they maintained their 4th-place spot in the North American Hockey League South Division. They split a series with last-place Amarillo, losing 4-3 on Friday, then avenging the loss 5-1 Saturday. In NBA G League action, the Rio Grande Valley Vipers won their weekend series against the Salt Lake City Stars 128-101 on Friday, then 116-105 on Saturday. They face the Texas Legends in Frisco tomorrow evening. And that is the latest news and information on South Texas Midday. I'm Rob Boskamp. Your community arts calendar and more is on the way.